Today, or actually this video, we're going to go over steering and how to install the steering system on this. They've made this really easy, again, as everything else in their kit's really easily. Inside the hardware kit that you get this other little plastic tub, and when it's empty you can keep them and do whatever you want with them. This one is actually labeled steering. Yep, I don't know if you can read that, but it says steering on it. And inside this box is pretty much everything you need besides the actual steering column, the steering rod, the steering wheel, things like that. But it comes with these little brackets you're going to have to weld to the frame. And these are support pieces that'll help support the steering column. And there's a couple different kinds. You can see this one's got a hole in it. So obviously it might be a bolt or something that goes to it yet, but I don't know yet because haven't got that part of directions. The first step in the steering column is going to need to be these tabs welded on. And they're going to go in the opposite direction you normally would think, because what's going to happen is this. So this rod, which is labeled ST for steering wheel, and they laser cut it out, which is really cool. Again, everything is labeled pretty much on the frame itself. You really can't mess that up. So what's going to happen is this will install in the frame, then this will get sandwiched in like that, and that'll be the support for it on the frame. And you'll see how I do all that and everything as well, because again, it's going to be tacking and welding more and more on this project. So let's get going and see how this thing works. Once again, thanks for joining, and as always, I'm not getting paid for this. Nothing is affiliate linked. Any tools I use in this video will be in the description. Let's break the algorithm and hit subscribe and like. I'm not a YouTuber by trade, yeah, I normally stay behind the camera, not in front of it. So I'm going to be using this magnetic tool. It will help me keep a hard 90 degree for whatever I need to weld or put in place. So this thing is a very, very strong magnet as well. The only thing that I don't like about these is that all the little filings and shavings and stuff start collecting inside these little ridges of the magnet, and then you're gonna have to go get a paper towel and wipe them off and clean it down, or a rag or anything like that. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a rag and I'm gonna wipe it all down, because otherwise the little filings will build up and you won't get a hard 90 degree out of it. So, and you'll see how I use this as well. These aren't that expensive. Again, you can find these pretty much at a lot of different hardware stores. This one I got at Harbor Freight. I think it was like maybe $5-6, I don't know, but I'll put a link in the description. Again, it's not an affiliate link. You can do whatever you want. I'm not getting paid for it. If you don't want to go to Harbor Freight, you don't have to go to Harbor Freight. You can go anywhere you want. But these definitely do help. And they make these in all different crazy sizes as well. It just so happens this is the only size I have with me in my garage. And as always, yes, I'm building this in a one-car garage to show that you don't need a big shop. You can do this in your own garage. Just be safe. Take your time. Have a fire extinguisher with you just in case, because you are going to be welding. Sparks will fly, molten metal will fly, and you don't want to burn your place down. So please, take your time, be safe, get the proper welding helmet, proper welding gloves, protection, all that kind of stuff you're going to need, and enjoy. So there's the 90 degree magnet holding the first piece of the steering column in place. As you can see, there's little slots here for these tabs to fit right in there. Line up, tack them in, and in between these two tabs will be that column, that rod that I showed you before for the steering, and it'll all get welded together. Once it's welded together, it's not moving. It's literally going to be rock solid. Now for this other side, to lock it in place, I'm just going to clamp it. There's a small little C-clamp. Clamp it in place. So this is the upper part of the steering column. And what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to weld on these two tabs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to use the steering column block to help aid in aligning it while I tack it in. It's got a little collar in it already, so for when the steering column goes through, steering rod moves through smoothly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the bolts, and I'm going to basically, this tab does not go forward, it's got to go backwards like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, it looks like, how is this going to go? Go that way. Oh no, it's flipped this way. Okay, so it'll be adjustable for the degree of angle through that way. Okay, so the holes, the 3 holes that are there, are going to go towards that frame. And then I'm going to put a bolt through it. And we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Take the other plate. I'm going to line it up. Just going to put a nut in it. Just, you know, hand tight. I'm not really going to wrench it down or anything. And what I'm doing is I'm going to basically place it where it needs to go. Okay, then once it's welded in place, you're going to get a different degree of angle for the steering rod. Pretty cool. And to hold it in place, I'm going to use a C-clamp again. Small C-clamp. Pretty simple. Now what you can also do is this. Another way to line it up is take your magnet, stick it basically to the end. Stick it on there, just like so. And then what we're going to do is to take these and magnet them on, just like that. Line them up. And then if you don't want to use this piece in the way, you don't have to, because the magnet will hold it in place while you tack it. So instead of risking getting this all ganked up with spatter, you don't have to do this method. Since the magnet's there, I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'm going to line this up, and I'm going to put this where it needs to be, roughly. I'm going to take the next one and do the same thing. But I'm going to use the bolt to help line it up. So there's that. Come into here. The magnet works really well and helps out a lot. And since I'm going to be using this magnet, I don't need to leave the bolt in. I'm just putting the bolt in to line up these 2 plates. That's all I'm doing. And since again it's flux core, I'm going to use my anti-spatter. I don't mind if the magnet gets coated. It's okay. Okay, to line up the steering, once I welded in this top section, I put this top block in there loosely, so it's not actually permanently bolted in. And at the bottom, I did the same thing, but I'm having a C-clamp here hold it in place before I tack it in. So I'm going to keep this loose, just like that. I'm going to tack here and on the opposite side as well. And then when that's all settled, I can pull the rod out, pull this bolt out, pull the other block out. You see that little block right there, and then permanently weld it in. This will help align it up for the steering. So there's the piece. I can even bring it up loosely if I have to. But this will help keep those tabs in line. It'll help keep them parallel. And again, I'll tack it in here and tack over on the other side over here. And then I can remove all of this stuff and then I don't have to worry about the slag getting all over it. Again, I'm going to be using the slag spray, the anti-spatter spray. So again, just take your time and have fun with it. So while waiting for the frame to cool down after welding on the columns for the steering, I'm going to work on the steering wheel. This is not actually the actual order of the directions, but I figured it's going to be correlated or related to the pieces that I just welded on there. And I got a little time, and I figured it's just I can have it sit off to the side for now. It's okay, because it's just going to be something that will be all in one, just ready to pop it back on and ready to rock and roll. So the kit comes with this piece right here, this triangle shaped base with a rod coming out, and you see the name of the company called Performance. What I noticed is that it doesn't actually sit perfectly 90 degree. It's got a little bit of an angle to it, because when it's mounted, basically it'll give the steering wheel an angle instead of straight up and down. It'll tilt forward a little bit so you can drive it. And this piece will be attached to the steering wheel, and then there's two holes on top, so you can attach that to the steering column itself, to the rod that goes down to the steering of this go-kart. So what also is going to happen is I'm going to use Loctite on these three holes and the bolts that go into it. Okay, now the thing about Loctite is that it comes in all different varieties. There's a paste, there's a gel, there's a liquid, and it comes in blue and red. But what I never understood is, why is the bottles always the same color? Make the whole bottle a different color, not just red. Well, I mean, this one says thread locker, and from what I've been told, I'm 100% colorblind, but I've been told this over the years, that that's a blue label. Make the whole bottle blue. Keep this one all red. And the difference is the blue is not permanent. You can still remove it. The red is usually a high strength, more permanent type of bonding. Some of the red ones you need heat to loosen it up just to get it undone. Some you just can never get it undone. It just, once it's there, it's done. For the steering wheel, I'm going to use the blue. The other thing also is that the higher the number, the stronger it is. Didn't know that until I started doing some research on this. And thread locker is pretty simple to use. You're just going to drip it on the threads, screw it all together, let it set up, done. Easy. The steering wheel comes with this round disc plate. It's an adapter. The three center holes is for that black piece. It's for this right here, this crazy cool piece. It's gonna bolt on to there, just like that. And then this piece will then in turn bolt onto the steering wheel. Now, when you line it up, you want to try and make it where the center hole up top is like this. So these three holes, there's one center one is at the bottom and the other two are top. That's where that black adapter is. So this adapter will go like that. And just like that. So when you're done, you'll have the steering wheel all aligned in the right way. In the bolt bag named steering, go figure, working on that, you're going to find these little black Allen bolts with the rounded tops on it. They're 1/4 by 20, about 1 inch long, and you'll find these locking nuts that go with it. You'll need 6 of these just for the steering wheel. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put thread locker right along here, one little swipe across, done. Yes, I know there's locking nuts that go with this as well, but then again, I'm doing this for a movie and I don't know what they're gonna put this thing through. The other thing is at home you can check all the bolts on the go-kart all the time before you go out and take a ride for safety. I don't know what their protocol is going to be. I don't know if somebody's going to be able to sit there and check every single nut and bolt on the go-kart. So that's another reason why I'm going to Loctite everything. What a lot of people don't know is before you use Loctite, you want to shake it up, because things could settle in the bottle or the tube or the stick, depending on which kind you got. The paste is a kind of a cool newer version. This is a larger bottle. And just shake it up a little bit. Pop the top. And all we're gonna do. Now this one's kind of cool. This got a little piece here. You gotta like slide it up to unlock it. Boom. So now it can actually flow. And I'm just gonna take a little bit. Like so, and just go across. That's it. Done. Let it seep into the threads. And there you go. Now when you put this on, it's not coming off for a long time. Now I'm going to take my 5/32 Allen key. I'm going to twist it on. Now the nut that goes with those bolts for the steering wheel will need a 7/16 wrench. Socket or open end combination wrench, C wrench, whatever you want to use. It's going to be 7/16 for this to be locked on. Now that I went ahead and pre-put all 6 of them in there, I'm going to go ahead and put some Loctite on them. I'm going to take my 5/32 Allen key on one side, and then I'm going to take my 7/16 socket, the other side, and tighten it up. It's pretty simple. Okay, so all 6 bolts are in. Still got the one hole at the bottom, 2 at the top. Again, that's for the adapter. It's going to be attached to it. And as you can see on the back, still the holes are in line and in place. And if there's any little residue of Loctite on here, just wipe it off with a rag or, you know, paper towel or whatever it is you need. It's almost ready. So this steering column adapter comes in a bag like this. It's not a Ziploc bag. And inside this bag are some other little bolts that are needed to attach this to the column. But right now we're not going to attach to the column, but I'm going to take everything out of this and put it back in the Ziploc bag for all the bolts that go for the steering. Because I don't want to lose any of them. There is a cotter pin in here, there's a castle nut, some pretty other little bolts and screws and nuts you just don't want to lose. Because like I said, they're very, very small, and there's a really, really tiny cotter pin at the bottom of this bag. I don't want to lose it. So I'm just going to take the Ziploc bag for the steering that is pre-done for us. I'm just going to put all these loose bolts in here so I don't lose them. So now everything's in the Ziploc bag and I know where it's at. I don't have to worry about losing it. And then I can then throw this bag out. The nice thing about building a kit like this is once you're done putting things together, you end up with less and less bags to have to deal with, or those little plastic tubs that everything comes in. Again, what's cool is when the plastic tubs are empty, you can use them for whatever you want. It's yours. Do what you want with it. So this piece is aluminum, and the bolts that are going to go into it are not. They're steel. Just don't go crazy and try and like wrench this down like there's no tomorrow. Just take your time, go easy with it, use some Loctite, and just make sure that the bolts are firm and locked in there. You don't want to have it wrenched down where you start ripping the threads inside this, because again, this piece is aluminum, and aluminum is much softer than the steel is. Now, since the holes go all the way through this piece, you can drop some thread locker in there, so when the bolt comes through it, it'll get all liquidified and tighten up, and then the bolt will get coated with the Loctite, so you don't have to worry about putting it on the front. Again, if any gets smushed out of the sides, just take a paper towel or a rag and wipe it off. Pretty simple. So what I'm gonna do is put a little bit in that hole. Take my next bolt and thread it on through. Again, as you can see, so right there's the hole I just put Loctite in, and as the bolt comes through, it's going to push the Loctite out all over my finger. Just make it all nice and snug. Same for the next one. And then the excess, just get a rag and wipe it off, or a paper towel, or your buddy's t-shirt, whatever works. Oh, and as always, let's mess with the algorithm. Subscribe and like. Thank you. Take my rag and just start wiping up the excess. Pretty simple. And when it dries, blue Loctite, when it dries, is not a permanent glue or bonding. You can usually get it undone. Just takes a little force sometimes. So there you have it. As you can see, this piece is not perfectly 90 to the steering wheel, because the steering wheel needs to be at an angle while you're driving. So here you can probably see a little better. The steering wheel will be more like this at an angle instead of like that, and that's what you want. You want a little bit of an angle. So as you're driving, there you go. Again, I'm just going to save this until the kart is done, because I still need to figure out what we're going to do. Are we painting it or not? Final assembly for me is going to be probably a little different than you guys. You can, it's up to you if you're going to paint it or not. It's also up to you how you want to do the final assembly, or if you just, as you're doing it, just leave it on there and call it a day. What kind of sucks for what I'm doing is I got to build, and I got to take it apart, and I got to set aside what needs to be painted, what needs to be finalized, what needs to be finished, what may need a protective coating on it. I don't know yet. Still have a little extra time for today. Do something that's pretty simple and quick. We're going to build the pedal assemblies. These guys machined this really cool pedal assembly for it. It's got a bushing already installed, and basically you put the peg in it, and when you push down or up, cables I guess are going to attach here. I don't know yet. We'll find out as we get to it, but they're pretty nicely designed and amazingly machined out. Really cool. And there's two of these, so we'll do one for the brake, one for the accelerator. The pedals are also machined out of aluminum, and what's really cool what these guys did, it's kind of funny in a way, they labeled them. This one says fast, and then this one will say slow, so you kind of know that that's the gas, that's the brake. Gas, brake. Well, in reality it's not a gas powered vehicle, it's electric, so more electricity, brake, more electricity, brake. It's really cool what they did with this. That's very funny. I like the fact that they did that, fast and slow. That's really cool. So it kind of tells you which pedal's going to which. So this bracket, and then your slow or fast will attach, just like so. So you got slow, or it depends on what side you're going to want it on. I don't... Oh yes, okay. So they threaded only one end of these things, so you really can't put it on wrong or backwards. So if this is slow, it's going to go like that and come out the side just like that. So you cannot put these on wrong. That is really cool. I just really looked at that and said, oh, that's badass. They did thread only one end. The other end is not threaded at all. Like I said, these guys have thought of everything. They thought of it all and they figured it all out and made it where you just can't do it wrong. The only thing after this would be the angle where your foot would feel comfortable on it once it's attached. In the kit for the pedals, there'll be these cap bolts, rounded off bolts. They're a little long, but you need them to be so they can grab and bite on the pedals. Again, they're only threaded one side, which is really cool. And what they did is this is towards the back of the vehicle. This is the front of the vehicle. So if this is your fast, it'll go like that. Okay. And what we're going to do is, like before, put a little bit of thread locker on it. Don't need a ton, just enough. So that's the back of the vehicle. We're going to put the bolt in just like so. And then we're going to take this and thread this in. And by doing that, it's going to spread the thread locker all around. And so right now, that's not going to work because this is the back of the vehicle. I need this to face that way. Okay, and I'm going to take my 3/16 Allen key, and for right now I'm going to basically make it 90 degrees. And just, bam, a little tight. Don't need it super tight just yet because again, you're going to want to adjust this angle once it's attached to the go-kart. And just do the same thing for the other side. I tend to think everybody that I know that wants to drive this thing only knows what this pedal is. None of them are going to know what this pedal is. Yeah, I don't see that happening. Yeah. And stunt drivers, they don't know what this is either. They only know that. And this pedal is going to be like this the entire time. Fast. I agree with them. So there you have it. So what's going to happen is once on the frame, it'll lock in that position. It won't be able to go back anymore. I'm putting the nuts on the outside of each pedal, so it's easier for the person's foot to ride along that piece right there and not get caught on a nut from a bolt. Got both of them done. In a future video, I'm going to show where these are welded onto the frame. Again, I've got a lot of work to do on this, and I'm just trying to put together as many pieces pre-done as possible right now. And then the rest will be just welding and finishing, because again, the finish on this is what's going to help out with this project as well, and I don't know exactly what the finish is just yet. So like always, let's help destroy the algorithm. Subscribe and like, and thank you, and I'll see you on the next video.